5 plus 3 is 8, 8 plus 3 is 11 is 2, or backwards, 8 plus 6 is 14 is 5, 5 plus 6 is 11 is 2, and 2 plus 6 equals 8. And of course, I won't go into it, but 3, 6, and 9.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Every multiplication series must have the family number groups separated by 3.
Okay.
The multiples of 1, 2, 5, and 8 are separated by 3.
Mm-hmm.
In the multiples of 2, they are still separated by 3. 2, 4, 6, we're going to look at it as a digital root. We're going to look at it as a number pattern. So multiples of 2 is going to be 2, 4, 6, 8, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. 2, 5, and 8 are still separated by 3. That's the definition of a multiplication series. It must always have the family number groups in phase by thirds. For the fun of it, for thoroughness, if I haven't lost everybody already, let's look at the polar mates, okay, which are our polar number pairs, which is always equal 9. 1 and 8, 2 and 7, 4 and 5. Multiples of 1 go plus up 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. Multiples of 8 must be minus 1. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 9. And sure enough, 1, 8 is 8. 2, 8 equals 16. 1 plus 6 is 7. 3, 8 is 24 is 6. 6 minus 1 is 5. And 8 times 4 is 32 equals 5. 8 times 5 is 40 is 4. 48 is 12 is 3. 56 is 11 is 2. 64 is 10 is 1. 72 is 9. If multiples of 1 go up units of 1, multiples of 8 must go down units of 1, because its polar pair, which is 8 because it equals 9, is a mirror. Multiples of 2 and 7 will be mirrors. 2, 4, 6, 8, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Multiples of 7 must be 7, 5, 3, 1, 8, 6, 4, 2, 9. Because 1, 7 is 7, 2, 7 is 14 is 5, 3, 7 is 21 is 3, 4, 7 is 28 is 10 is 1. 7 times 5 is 35 equals 8. Do you follow me?
Yeah. So within the pattern itself, there are even further underlying patterns. Now, this is related to the, and let me say KOPN Columbia 89.5 FM.
I think I'm going to interrupt for 1 second. I want to say one thing.
Yes, please.
You are I never could have an easier host than you are. You make it as smooth as silk and as fluid as milk.
Well, thank you. I'm doing my best, and it's you're a remarkable person, and I think that sometimes it does get overwhelming, and it is. There's a lot of information here, but it's good for people because they got to come back and listen to it anyway. But it's one of these ones when you do listen to the stuff back, it does make sense, especially when you look at the graphics along with it. So
I'm gonna for your friend Mike, the polar number pairs horizontally stratify. 1 and 8 are the same distance from the axis 9. They're unique in that they're horizontally aligned. 7 and 2 are, again, the same horizontal rung or bar.
Right, if you drew like a latitude line across from them, yeah.
Okay, family number groups occupy the 3 different horizontal bars.
So 8,
1 will be
7,
on the
2,
top
5,
one,
4
will be on the bottom one, and 7 will be in the middle one. Powers of 10. When we were halving, 1 was over 1. 5/10 was at the bottom. 0.25, which is 7, 25 hundredths. Hundreds were always in the center. Ones were always at the top, and tens were at the bottom. There is a sieve here, a waffle. A lattice like cheesecloth. I'm just mentioning this for Will because I want him to see it. In other words, I discovered that everything was being sorted. Okay, everything was being sieved through. And I found the use of this, that it makes an XYZ system.
And this is where where you actually build the geometry then.
I found the fountain of youth. I found the golden fleece of Hercules, whoever we want to call it, If you want to say, I've truly cracked the atom because I have found spirit emanating, which is the source of the non-decaying spin of the electron. I've found the source of time, the source of creation. I found how creation is constantly being renewed and recreated.
Let's talk about creation a little bit. How do things actually come into existence in your view?
Numbers, to me, are a fable. They reveal a children's lullaby story. Because I piece them together, because I see how they're inverting in the center, how they make an imploding black hole to an exploding white hole, and how it's being driven at the inner diameter, at the singularity, by the spirit emanating.
Mm-hmm.
What I discovered is that creation is constantly being renewed and readorned with life again. Eventually, every solar system is being imploded into a black hole. Every black hole is coming out the other end of the white hole. Eventually, the Earth is in the Milky Way. We have a black hole at the center of our galaxy. Eventually, the Earth will be pulled back into the center, with other planets and stars will be spun around faster and faster. The Earth's mountains will be pulled, crushing flat. Our seas will boil off in their bed, and every atom of the Earth will be spun around like in a witch's cauldron in a melting pot. It will be spun faster and faster and hotter till it gets to the center, where spirit is literally wrung out of this matter, which emanates omnidirectionally in all directions, that drives this vortex. And out will shoot, at the other end of the black hole, out the white hole, the Earth, as a hot interstellar gaseous matter. And it'll be eventually amalgamated and form more planets and more stars. It'll cool down and condense. Our bodies are made out of countless stars of the past. We're made out of stardust.
Mm-hmm. They all tell us that, yeah.
It's a constant renewal system of purification. And it's a closed system. It's an endless reprocessing, recycling center.
You know, that's an amazing statement, because I'm the sort of person that says there are no such thing as closed systems, because I always imagine that in other words, it's the same metaphor as the geometric sequence. I always imagine that was an open system, an unended, but it's not. There's an embedded.
Everything warps except for spirit.
Everything warps. Wow, that's amazing, because in the gigantic system of the universe or whatever, that's what you're saying, that is essentially a closed system, but within the small systems inside it, it almost appears open or endlessly open. In other words, how else could you get all the complexity and diversity of the whole business if it wasn't at least apparently open-ended? Even if the end game is a closed system, there's a whole lot going on within the closed system.
Well, it certainly is a work of art, and it certainly is very beautiful.
All right, we need to take a breather. All right, I gotta deal with all this. Marko Rodin with us from his place in Hawaii, and we'll say hello to Marko again and mention the website at www.markorodin.com, and also rodinmath, RODINMATH.com. Hi, Marko.
Hi there.
All right. Let me ask you something that is related to what we were talking about just before the break there. A question comes up on the forum, or in the chat room, I should say. If everything is self-replicating, then infinity is inward, ? Instead of outward? Or does infinity even exist?
Infinity is both compressing, decompressing. So it is doing both. Everything implodes, explodes.
Right. In other words, this is why the sequence does the same thing if you double as it does if you half.
Which are reciprocals.
Well, reciprocals, and one goes.
That's why,
although
there's no way we can visualize it on the air, that's why we always have a bifilia or two doubling circuits, because as we are doubling on the coil, it's a dual winding with a space in the center. Everything is based on a duality. Everything looks like it's polarized, but there's really, because of the space, the 396 in the center, which is the source, like an arrow, like a vector, like a pivot, the minimum parts is 3, but it's splitting everything. But anyway, so there's two doubling circuits. They're going in opposite directions. They have a certain handedness. It's a little bit too complicated to go into on the phone, but...
What about a singularity? This is related as well. Another listener says singularities are points as inward collapse.
It's a little hard to hear you, but say a singularity to me is defined by the